All right, you guys, I am so excited that we are finally to lesson 7 because before all of our programs were all well and good, but they really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, we calculated stuff and we put in integers and strings, but we didn't do any sort of interaction. So get ready, it's about to get awesome. So go ahead and make your lesson 7 Java project, and I'm going to call this one lesson 7 also, my public static void main. So within Java, we actually have to do different types of things in order to interact with the computer. So within Java, there's things that we can import to make it more interactive. They're there, we just have to import them. So come on up to the top, and I'm going to put in my usual comment block, and so put in your author, the date. All right, and this is lesson 7, getting user input. So get pumped. So before we initialize our class, I'm going to rearrange my brackets too. That bothers me. Before we even start the class, so come on up to line 5 and push enter a couple times. We're going to import 2 things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to import java.io. And in computer language, I/O means input, output. So it should kind of indicate to you right there what we're trying to do. Okay, so the reason that we have the star at the end of that line is because it imports all of our I/O classes. There are lots of different ones. You can import variations of them. But if we import the star one, it imports all of the I/O. So come down to the next line. We're going to also import the utilities. So java.util.star, and that's going to import all of our utilities also. And get ready, because after learning these 2 lines, you are going to use them with almost every program you write in Java. All right, so we've already learned the types that are int, string, and double. So right now we are going to learn a new type, and that new type is called scanner. And then you can come up with a variable name. So I'm going to make my scanner dog. It can be any name. It could be keyboard reader. So if I did like KB reader, it's going to read whatever I put on the keyboard. So then whenever you are editing an object in a class, like we're doing right now, you'll put in new, and the name of the class again, which is scanner. Then it needs arguments. So we are going to system.in, and then close your statement with a semicolon. So I'm going to throw a little vocab at you. So this KB reader is going to be an object in our scanner class. So kind of file that away for future reference. Scanner is our class. KB reader is our object. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we have our scanner. Come on down, and we're going to ask the user a question. So the way you do that is the way you've been doing it all along. System.out.println, in parentheses, and say, enter your name here. Put in a colon, and put in your semicolon to end the statement. But I'm going to fix something real quick. So I left a colon here for a space for me to enter my name. So I don't really need there to be a line printed after this statement. So go ahead and delete your line. System.out.print. So after we print enter your name here, we want the user to put in their information. So we need to set this up. So would your name be a string, an int, or a double? I hope that in your mind you just said string or cheered it out loud like a crazy person at your computer. So string name equals KB reader next, open, close parentheses. And you see it pops up right here that the next is your string scanner. We know we did it right. So then what you'll want to have it do is maybe print out what the name is, because what's going to happen after this line is your program is going to wait until someone types in something and then presses enter. So the next line is going to be system.out.print. Let's put on a new line. It's going to say your name is space plus that variable name. Don't forget to close your statement and then hit run. I seem to have an error. Let's go see what my error is. So it says over here that it's on this line 15. System cannot be resolved to a variable because system would be a variable. System has to be capitalized. So now that system's capitalized, I should be able to run my program. So I run it, enter my name, Ms. Spaunhorst, and press enter. And it only printed out Miss instead of Miss Spaunhorst. So if you look up here, it actually only will print until the first space. So I can change this. So if I run it again, enter your name here, Miss Spaunhorst. And then it runs the whole thing. You can also use this for calculations. So I'm going to comment out all these lines. And at the end of this last one, I'm going to put in a comment. It's for user to enter a string. All right, so now, since we did string, we're going to move on to something a little different. We're going to do an int. So we need that same thing. So scanner, and then you could name it whatever you want for the variable. So if you want to name your scanner hash browns, because that's what we had for lunch and it's my favorite, equals new scanner, system, capitalize the system, .in. Make sure that your closing bracket is there, or not closing bracket, but semicolon, and system.out.print. And we're going to multiply something, so we're going to get a little fancy with this. What should I multiply by 3? Close your parentheses, semicolon. We're going to wait for an int. So it's not going to take in any doubles, but just an int. So we can say like int I equals hash browns dot next int. So it's a little different because for the string up here, we just left next open close, but for next int, we want it to actually be an integer. So it was system.out.print line. It's going to be 3 times I. And then we can run it. What should I multiply by 3? How about how many calories are in each hash brown? Because I had 3 hash browns today. So 150, 450. You can even do 2 at once. So I'm going to change this to enter 2 numbers to multiply. And I is going to be hash browns.nextInt, and int j could be anything. It doesn't have to be j. Hash browns.nextInt. And instead of 3, we're going to have j times I. So for I, if I put in 22 space and then 4, we're going to get the answer of 88. So let's go ahead and run this. So enter 2 numbers to multiply. 22 space 4. That gives us 88. So if you're trying to figure out how this actually works, what you're saying is that int I is going to be the very first integer that's entered, and int j is going to be the second integer that's entered. So what it's doing in this print line is j is now 4, and I is now 22, and it multiplies them together. All right, so I'm going to come in and comment out this whole segment here. And we're going to call this ask user for an integer makes calculation. All right. And then come on down below to line 27. So we're going to start with a double. So scanner, and then whatever variable you would like it to be, and I'm just going to make it KB reader or keyboard reader equals new scanner system in dot in. Close your parenthesis, enter line properly, and then we're going to do system.out.print, enter a decimal here. Okay, so we seem to have an error on this line. It looks like we have our quotes outside of our semicolon, so let's go back and fix that real quick. All right, in the next line, you guessed it, it's going to be double, and then let's just use D, why not? D for double, equals KB reader, and we are going to be doing dot next double. So it kind of makes sense here, doesn't it? So whenever you are looking for a string, it's just next open parentheses. For next int, you're looking for your next integer. For next double, you're looking for a double. And then system.out.println, and we're going to just print D. Okay, let's go ahead and run it and see how we do. Okay, enter a decimal here, 8.2, and it prints 8.2. Let's make it a little bit more fancy, shall we? Up there in D, D times 3. So now we're calculating whatever people enter. Enter your number here. Okay, so it actually makes calculations. So I'm going to come make a comment here. As for decimal, makes calculation. All right, so I'm going to comment this all out also. Now we're going to go back up to the first block we commented out already. All right, and we're going to delete all the comments because we're going to play a little bit with strings. Okay, so remember before when we put in the string and it broke at the space. So now we're going to change it, enter your full name here. We're going to fix this a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is in line 18, change it to your first name is, into that line, press enter. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually use our KB reader to our advantage. So we've already set up string name. So we don't, it's already been declared up here, so we don't need to declare it again, but we're going to initialize it to name equals KB reader dot next, open close parentheses, and then we're going to system.out.println, our last name is plus name. So remember that we can actually change the value of variables in Java. So at first it's going to be the first name, then it's going to read the next line, which is at the space, and it's going to print the last name. So let's test this. Let's go ahead and run it, enter your full name. So Ms. Spaunhorst. First name is Ms., your last name is Spaunhorst. We did it. I'm going to put a space after this here because that bothers me that I don't have a space. Okay, so the next in open close parenthesis is really useful if you're just putting in a word or two at a time. But say you want to put in a whole sentence. So I'm going to go and comment the last two lines out. And instead of just next, we're going to say next line. So we're going to say your full name is. So full name usually means first, middle, and last. So go ahead and run this. Your full name, Miss Awesome Spaunhorst. Hope you know that's my middle name. Press enter. And my full name is Miss Awesome Spaunhorst. Now, just to warn you, there is an anomaly. So, whenever you are building a scanner and you are using next int, next double, or next line, you can use them in any sequence you would like, except if you follow next int or next double with next line, you have to build a new scanner object. So, anytime that you are building a scanner, and you need to have a line after you pull in any number, you will have to redo your scanner. So this right here is how you build a new scanner object, this line. So you have to come up with a new scanner and a new variable for it. That is it. Other than that, you guys are on your way. You can do your project Going in Circles and your project What's My Name. So you should be very excited. It's going to be a very fun project. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.